As I have done research about leadership, there was one main point that stuck out to me both in the book review and the interview that I did, and that main point was collaboration. There are many benefits that come as a result of a leader collaborating with their team, and when done correctly, there are many benefits that follow. First of all, the leader is telling their team that they trust them to work together to find the best solution to every problem they face. The best results come from getting everybody's input and creating an atmosphere of trust and respect where each team member feels comfortable sharing their opinion in a non-threatening environment. When a leader asks for help, they are acknowledging that they need their team to accomplish the task at hand. When team members are involved in solving a problem, they take ownership of creating a solution and following through.
This is tied in, when does I like people? And, but I've always believed in a collaboration. And so the nature of my personality is to develop collaborative action. And so I would, I believe that if, and I acted on this, that, and I did it when I was a classroom teacher too, is that you bring people along with you and you collaborate with them. And so I don't just do a single, linear line authority decisions. It was anytime I could collaborate, and it was a productive use of teachers' times, then I collaborated. And I never, big, huge decisions that qualitatively affected their lives, I always tried to collaborate on.
How do you feel like that affected them as followers?
Well, I think they felt like that they were doing things with me and that I wasn't doing things to them. And so it created the we in the school culture and not the Ellen said. And so because of that, and we charted a better course because of their input, because they were the experts. And so the course we took was more solid and more productive.
The book review that I did was about the leadership style of Colin Powell. Colin Powell had an open door policy, and he believed that the day your team stops bringing you their problems is the day you stop being their leader. He made a point to go for a walk every afternoon during his Army command to give his troops the opportunity to talk to him about any problems they may be experiencing. Colin Powell was determined to create the best team. He expected the best performance from everybody that worked for him, and as a result, he trusted them. He relied on their input. In fact, he said, "The people in the field are the closest to the problem, closest to the situation, and therefore that is where real wisdom is." Colin Powell knew that the best solutions would only come from collaborating with the members of his team.
The most interesting thing that I learned is that leaders help others. I learned this concept from both my interview and the book, The Heart of Leadership, Becoming a Leader People Want to Follow by Mark Miller. They both stated that the greatest accomplishment is when they help someone else discover their true potential. A great example of a leader that helped others is Princess Diana, who was also known as the People's Princess. She brought awareness of AIDS through multiple programs and revealed to the world that AIDS victims deserve to be treated with compassion and kindness. Princess Diana played a significant role in minimizing the perception about people with AIDS.
So to give an example of honesty, I'm going to talk about Abraham Lincoln for a moment, a famous leader in American history, and why he was given the nickname Honest Abe. We all pretty much know that name, but why was he given that name? He earned the name Honest Abe mainly due to some of his experiences as a youth when he worked as a general store clerk. And he was so honest that when he was counting his till every night, that if he noticed that the till was over, or if he had shortchanged a customer, he would often go after closing hours and go and walk the change to the customers, even sometimes walking many miles. And in one famous incident, I guess, he had given a woman too little tea for the money she had paid, and he had, after the store had closed, boxed up a package with the tea that he felt he owed her, that would have equated to the money she had paid, and he walked it many miles to her house, and she was surprised when he got there, and this impressed a lot of the town members, and thus he was known as Honest Abe.
Dealt with people who said, I have a church hat, I have a business hat, and I have a dad hat and a spouse hat. And, you know, I'm always swapping those off as I go throughout my day. I'm like, I don't. I have one hat, and
Right.
it may be the wrong hat, but it's what I have, and I wear it all the time.
Right. I mean, your values should be reflecting in everything you do. You don't really have a different set of values, right?
The kind of person you are and the way you act, I think, should be consistent. If you can't trust the person that's supposed to lead you, it's going to go nowhere. It's going to be fruitless.
Okay.
Leaders who are visionary, who are willing to think big. It's easy to do, well, as you mentioned earlier, it's easy to navigate the calm waters and be effective at doing that. It's harder to take on the things that nobody's willing to do, and usually those are the things that matter. And so I look for people who are, I like leaders that are fearless.
Okay.
And will have their vision set on paradigm shifting events or actions.
What is meant by moral leadership? By definition, a moral leader is someone who leads to serve. They could be someone who leads through persuasion, motivation, self-awareness, and most important of all, serving people. What distinguishes them from ordinary leaders is that these kind of leaders prioritize other people's needs. They are people who bend the course of history through their persuasion without violence. Nelson Mandela is a good example of a moral leader. He persuaded the hearts of many and promoted civil rights despite spending 27 years in jail. His determination to promote equal rights in South Africa proved to be a great success, which eventually turned him into an iconic figure. Mandela possesses the ability to determine right from wrong. He was able to accept criticism and even prepared to apologize when he felt an apology was due. He had the moral and ethical courage during and after his presidency to do and say things that were not always in accordance with the official policy of his beloved African National Congress.